Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel for a live reaction and player ratings live stream following Chelsea 1, Newcastle 0. Thank you, Kai Havertz, because my mood still isn't amazing with everything going on, and obviously the game being pretty poor. But certainly much better than it would have been without that last-minute winner. And what a goal it was as well! What a ball from Jorginho! What a touch! What a finish! Big fan, big fan. Rest of the game, bit shit, but we move better. Better be a bit annoyed with 3 points than be annoyed with 1 point. And that's how I see it. But yeah, very, very happy that Kai Havertz got that late goal. But the rest of the game was, Now, number one, we were bad, right? Of course, we'll get to that. But that's the main topic of the stream. But man, has that referee ever refed a football game? Like, obviously he has because we know him. But he refed that game like as if he's never seen a football pitch from the inside before. Like, first half, he called every touch as a foul. Second half, for 15 minutes, he gave nothing as a foul. And then he went back to giving everything as a foul again. I was so confused by that, man. And then again, we'll debate on whether Newcastle should have had a penalty or not. We'll also debate, even though I firmly disagree with it, whether Havertz should have had a red card. But for those instances, he was then not harsh. So again, I'm just so confused. Anyway, it wasn't great. But at the same time, Newcastle were one of only 3 teams in European football that were still unbeaten in 2022, alongside Liverpool and Barcelona. They were the only team that had been unbeaten until today, and we beat them. So even though they're low down in the table, it's a tough game, and we came out the other end of it, I guess, at the very end. But it was hard work. Charlie, I haven't had you on a player rating stream in a hot minute, so how do you feel now, straight after the game? First of all, obviously, big thank you for coming on. Everybody subscribe to this channel. Link is down in the description. But how do you feel about the game now that we've come through it and won the game?
Oh, at the end of the day, wins a win, and you've got to be happy when your team wins. But if we look at the overall performance was awful. I'd probably say it's the worst we've played this year. It was really bad. I think there was no efforts on target until about 76, 77 minutes. But as big clubs do, you've got big players and one moment, and that's all it took. But I was disappointed today. It was really flat. Didn't really create anything going forward. The game itself I thought was quite terrible. Really, the best part of the game was the chance between the 2 fans up until we scored. Really, not a lot going on. I agree with the refereeing. Didn't let the game flow at all. And then with the 2 main incidents, the penalty and the possible red card, was very relaxed. So yeah, a little bit confusing, but we did get away with one, I have to say. I know you'll come on to it, but in my opinion, we got away with one there in terms of a penalty. Chalobah, he's got a hold of his shirt. He can't be doing that in the box. I think that's a penalty, and we got away with one. But ultimately, we take the 3 points, and actually that's 5 league wins in a row. So it matches our best run of the season. So having not played well is still a win, and it's 5 wins in a row, as I just said. So there's signs of positivity, but this performance in isolation, it was awful.
I agree, mate. I agree. Obviously, we'll get to the lineup soon, but my man, I just don't understand what Timo keeps doing. I just can't understand it. But obviously, in terms of should we have played a back 4, back 3? We didn't really have much of an opportunity to play a back 3, for being totally honest with ourselves, because all of our fullbacks are out. Like, all of them. Alonso was on the bench, but he's just back from the Rona. So because he didn't start, presumably not fully fit. Reece James out. Aspie wasn't in the squad after coming off ill against Norwich the other day. Ben Chilwell obviously out. And even our kind of makeshift wing-backs in Callum Hudson-Odoi and Pulisic are out. So Hudson-Odoi is fully out. And Pulisic just coming back from illness as well. So not fit to start a game. So we had to play a back 4. But it kind of wasn't too different from when we played a back 4 with 4 centre-backs against Palace. It just weren't it. Like, it just really weren't it. Obviously, we had a striker that had more than 7 touches this time. So that was already a bit better. But like the rest of it just didn't quite work. Why Kante stayed on the pitch instead of Mount? I don't know. Was Mount bad? Yes. But was he less influential than Kante going forward? No. Like, also, whenever we've played this formation, Mount and Ziyech were on the same side. They linked so well with each other. Today, we played them away from each other. I just don't understand. Clutch, you told me off air already that you agreed with what Charlie just said, that we got away with one in terms of the penalty. But otherwise, how do you feel? Like I said, it wasn't a good performance, but we have a lot of players out injured. And we're the first team that beat Newcastle in all of 2022.
Here's my thing with the whole players out injured. We had a transfer market that we could have done. We could have loaned somebody. We had plans. We had ideas. We could have done it. We didn't. Because Tuchel felt, or I don't know, maybe the board. I don't think it was so much Tuchel. The board felt that we had enough. That Reece James wasn't going to be out for another 6 months like Chilwell was. But still, we needed to strengthen those positions. We needed that. Left wing back or right wing back. We knew that. That's something we've known for a while. But we didn't do it. So I'm not using that as an excuse. Because if we're going to keep using Pulisic and Callum Hudson-Odoi there, it's the same thing. They're not going to be any better.
But while I agree with that in general, we also we usually, the debate was, okay, we have backups, but they're just not good enough. That's why we want to sign players. The problem was today we didn't even have the backups because they were also out.
Yeah, but that's the point. If you have those backups in the first place, you don't even need to worry about that. One of the reasons we keep getting injured is because we have to overplay these guys because one guy's injured for a while, then you have to co-play. You have to rush Reece James back. He gets injured because he's getting rushed back. We just don't have any time to let these players rest. And it's going to keep happening. But unfortunately, the problem is, I thought that was a penalty. If that happened to us, I would have been screaming for a penalty. I'd be upset. It came down to two decisions that are basically somebody in a box somewhere thinking, do I think this would have been called? Would I have called this? I see people say Havertz should have been sent off. I don't think so. But I've seen people say they should, especially in the commentary at halftime. There was two of them. I don't remember their names, but they were talking about how they thought he should have been sent off because he was being, as they said, naughty. I don't think so, but I also thought that was a penalty. It comes to, there were two moments that could have gone either way. I do like that we had the heart to kind of fight back into it, but it's like we're not learning from the mistakes we're making in the first place. But I guess in the same way, yeah, there are ways you can excuse it. But at halftime when we didn't make any changes, that's probably what really upset me.
Fair enough. Before we get into more detail of that, Pice, what do you make of the game? Now that we came away with the win at the very end, but the performance really wasn't it, was it?
Yeah, shit game, but I don't care, man. We won. Kai Havertz, so clutch. Late goal, again. He always pops up, man. He's got such a clutch chin. He missed that chance, but, even if he doesn't play great, he still pops up with late goals, and he's making a habit of that. If he can turn, those goals he's scoring in the Cups, Champions League into Premier League, then we're set, man. I didn't agree with the lineup. I didn't like the lineup at all. I didn't like the fact that he made no halftime subs. I didn't like a lot in the game, but at the end of the day, we won, and it's a different, feeling around the game now. I'm just gassed. Seeing Tuchel at full time just gassed me up, changed my mood completely. So I'm just very happy, to be honest.
I do agree. I mean, you said you weren't happy with the lineup. Let me get it up on screen. One particular where you're not happy with, because like I said, I mean, in terms of the defenders, other than playing Kennedy, even if you play Kennedy as a wingback, who is going to be the right side of wingback? I mean, maybe you are going to say Chalobah. I don't know if that's what you're going to say. Maybe that's a shout. We can debate whether Werner should have played or not, but in terms of formation, was there something you would have done drastically different? But because did we have the players for anything different? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Obviously, you had the debate whether Silva should start. Obviously, but he's been playing quite a lot recently. But the main thing for me is just Kovacic. I would understand, I know we have Champions League next week, but we're 2-0 up.
Yeah.
And it's just I don't if other players can do it, why can't Kovacic do it? You see when he came on, that run he made, the energy he brings. I didn't think Jorginho and Kante were great today, but luckily Jorginho, as he has done in the past, did pull out a moment of brilliance. But, I just think overall, if you're looking at the whole game, I didn't think either were great. I mean, Mount, I thought was really, really bad, especially playing in his preferred 8 role. I was really disappointed today. And I mean, Werner, why is he starting? Why? Tuchel looked at that last game, and decided to start him again. I'm sorry, you can't do that. No matter how much you don't rate Lukaku or don't rate, anyone else, the team could have been different. We can discuss how many ways it could have been different, but it could have been different. I didn't want Werner starting. I was happy to see Ziyech back, but still, I think Ziyech, he's a player that when he's in form, you got to keep starting him. And obviously, he hasn't started last couple of games, and he looked a bit rusty out there, I thought. So, I don't know. I didn't like the formation first half. It seemed more like it seemed like a 4-1-4-1 for me, because Havertz was so isolated, and then Werner was trying to get close to him, and it just wasn't working. So the fact that he made no halftime changes, I thought was pretty poor, to be honest. But I mean, we escaped again. We got a moment of brilliance from two of our players, so we can't keep doing it. But when it happens, we have to be happy because it changes the outlook.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's a weird one for me because I see people in the chat talking about Ziyech was good, Kante was good. I'm not sure what games you watch, people. I completely agree that Mount was poor. Although I will say, would anyone that played the left 8 have been good when the left back is Sarr and the left forward is Werner? Because whoever that left side was going to be was going to do all of it by themselves with Rudiger, essentially. That's not necessarily an excuse. That doesn't mean Mount should have not been better. But I'm not sure if anyone would have been better in that position. But for me, the confusing part is just, why didn't he play on the right side? Like, we know Mount and Ziyech together works. Why would we do something different? Like, if we're already going to play the system, the one part we knew works was the Mount Ziyech swap. And we didn't allow that. I cannot understand that at all. The whole not changing at halftime. I mean, I in a way I agree, but at the same time, we didn't at Burnley. We're shocking first half, battered them second half, just by making a little tactical switch without changing anything in the actual personnel. And we did actually also have a bit of a tactical switch in the second half today. With Sarr kind of playing wing back. Not fully, but kind of. We just didn't involve him, right? So the left side was completely dead. But we kind of created a back three, and Ziyech kind of did a bit of that. And it was kind of a 3-5-2 that way, if you want. Obviously, Ziyech much more forward than Sarr. But that didn't really change anything either, if I'm honest. Like, it didn't give us any more control. It didn't do anything, if we're being perfectly honest. Just to go back to what Clutch said earlier, I'm not sure, bro, if I agree. Like, you can't, like, because it's no matter who you are, no one's gonna, like, you're not gonna have 3 players per position. Like, it's just, that's unrealistic. No, like, not even City have that in every position. Like, yeah, sure, you could have signed someone in January, but Reece James was back, got injured again, different leg. Then Aspie falls ill at the very same time, while also Callum struggling with an Achilles injury, and also Pulisic was ill. So, like, yeah, we could have signed someone, but we could have also signed someone and they were also ill. And then what? Would it then also not be an excuse? Like, I'm not, like, I understand the whole concept there. We should have signed someone. I agree with that. But there was also no knowing that Pulisic and Callum and Reece and these guys are all going to have either illnesses or small extra injuries or whatever. Like, you just can't know that. And that could have equally as much happened to any new player we signed. You never know. So that's why I'm not quite sure I quite agree with that, if I'm being perfectly honest. But if I ask you, Charlie, the lineup when it came out initially, what was the biggest problems with it? Team of Werner, I presume, but is that it?
Yeah, pretty much, to be honest, because, you know, I think we're better in a back three. I've got to be honest. We've played in it more. We're more used to it, and we got a better personnel for it. Obviously, no Thiago Silva. I thought we suffered a lot playing out from the back. The playing out from the back today was really poor, I felt. But in terms of the lineup, I've got no issues with that back four because, as you've just touched on, we had no options. What are we going to do? Like, what are we supposed to do? You know. So, yeah, or it could have gone with a 3 and you could have played Chalobah at wing back on one side and you could have tried Sarr as a wing back. It's not conducive. I thought this was what we had to go with. I would have played Kovacic. I don't feel Kante is needed in a game like this. I'd have preferred to have Kovacic and Mount as the 2-8s. Or really, Mount could have played where Werner played and just have Kovacic starting as well. But yeah, the main issue for me was Timo Werner starting. And look, he's a great lad, but sorry, he's just not good at football. It's as simple as that for me. He's just shit. And like, it's just so frustrating because, you know, as we've all said many times before, he's very limited in his skill set and he's only effective against very few sides. And then when he does what he's good at, he gets the ball and he's terrible. Like, he must be one of the only footballers that I know that is, when he gets the ball, he's shit. Like, literally can't do anything good with it. It's just baffling. He shouldn't be anywhere near the starting lineup. He really shouldn't. And again, he was awful today. Like, just gives the ball away. He's offside. Like, it's a great opportunity. He's played in over the top. You can't even control a football. Like, this needs to stop. We need to stop playing him. Just don't play. Like, it's got to that point now where we just can't play him. But I mean, the rest of it, yeah, as I said, I wasn't too fussed with it, given the circumstances with the players out. Like, I think that's the best we could have done. Are we going to know if we're never going to know if Pulisic was well enough to actually start the game? We'll never know that. But yeah, for me, would have been Kovacic starting. Or we could have pushed him out further forward if Kante was going to play. But the rest of it, I don't have any problem with.
No, exactly. Like, you make a fair point there. Like, if you're going to play Kante midfield for some odd reason against Newcastle, then just play and you're kind of you don't have enough forwards available type thing other than Lukaku, but you don't want to play Havertz out of position. Then play Mount in the front three and put Kovacic in midfield. Like, it's not ideal either, but it's still bloody better than what we had. Clutch, last thoughts in terms of the lineup. What was your biggest qualms with it, shall I say?
Probably Kante starting over Kovacic. I mean, Kovacic, I think at this point is just like, he's the guy in the midfield. You build around Kovacic. He's the first guy on the name sheet for me. And we knew we were going into a team that was going to have to break down a low block. Kovacic, Pulisic, Callum are pretty much the only players that we know that can do that. And Ziyech. Ziyech has actually been really good at dribbling. But yeah, and we had one of those guys who's just came back and is a bit rusty. So, I mean, Kante just wasn't needed for me. And I don't put too much stock into starting lineups because, like, it's okay. Like you guys said, yes, there's always going to be times when you're not going to have everybody fit. And you're going to try something. But it's the halftime thing that upsets me, is because we know things weren't working at halftime, but we decided that we were going to try to make it a two-striker system at that point. But other than that, yeah, I would play Kovacic over Kante. That's my main one.
Fair enough. Yeah. It's just, I mean, obviously with everything going on, we praised the players already after the Norwich game, and rightly so. We'll praise them again. It's can't be easy for them. Neither can it be. It's not easy for us either as fans. It was very interesting to see the difference between away fans and home fans. That there was a lot less Roman Abramovich chants today. And whenever there was, they were kind of like outsung by other chants. It was very interesting. While the away end was obviously going hard for that Roman Abramovich for the last few games. I don't feel like Chelsea fans would be like, oh, government has asked us not to sing. I don't think, if anything, that would make us more likely to sing and not less likely, I would presume. Because, excuse yourself, sorry, if you had a free speech. But yeah, it's a weird one. Before we get into the actual player ratings, ladies and gentlemen, please be sure to subscribe. That'd be massively appreciated because, well, we're on the road to 15,000 subscribers. So please do subscribe. That'd be fantastic. Smash the like button for me as well. And just quickly, let me tell you about our sponsors this month. Obviously, if you've been on a couple of streams this month, you know about it. But we are this month sponsored by Manscaped. And they're fantastic. They honestly are. They're the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. They offer precision-engineered tools for your family jewels, and they recently launched the Ultimate Men's Hygiene Bundle, the Performance Package 4.0, and I have a great offer, brilliant offer, just for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with my code LAUCFC at manscaped.com. But let me quickly tell you what is in this Performance Package 4.0. Now, first off, what you've got is the Lawnmower 4.0, like the Performance Package, it works together. It's a brilliant trimmer. It's a little light at the front, so you can, more precise shave. It's got the cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents. I mean, like, it's very, very good. And they throw some more stuff in there. Don't worry about it. Like, you've got the Weed Whacker nose hair and ear hair trimmer. Again, nothing to be ashamed about. If there's hair you need to get rid of, and this helps you do that. There's also the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and Crop Reviver Ball Toner. Again, they just smell great, so get your hands on that, honestly. And they're even throwing 2 extra gifts for you in the Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped boxes and the Shed travel bag. Bring your confident boxes to another level. It's time to take care of yourself. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code LAUCFC at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code LAUCFC at checkout. You unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. But now let's get into the actual player ratings, because we discussed it to some extent now, and we were like, oh yeah, bad performance overall. But it's going to be very interesting to see also for me what my guests are going to, how we're going to rate these players, because it's very tough. It's very, very tough. Again, we're going to leave Mendy to later. Hopefully I won't forget him this time. So let's start with our 2 main centre-backs. Let's start to start on a slightly more positive note. Well, let's start with Antonio Rudiger. I mean, he was certainly in clown mode today. Not in a bad way in terms of being a shit at football clown, but just in being hilarious. When he was just jumping around, like, I can't even explain what he did, but He's just a weirdo, but I love him, honestly. What a guy. And those runs as well, especially those runs, is very different, him making those runs when we're playing a back three and he's the left centre-back. And him making those runs when he's a centre-back in a back four, so a centre-back partnership of two. It's very different. So the fact that he goes for those, I love him. I mean, Newcastle didn't really have much, a couple of kind of half chances, but wouldn't really say Rudiger's done anything wrong, so I wouldn't go too low. But I do think some of his passes that he tried could have been a little bit better. I've been saying that for a little while now, to be honest. So I'll give him, I think he was good, but nothing crazy. So I'll say 7. I'll be intrigued whether you guys think it would be better than that. I just think as a team, all of us, I mean, yeah, the ref killed it and Newcastle's time wasting from minute 1 killed it. But also our team, like we were so slow. Every throw in, every free kick, everything just took so damn long, man. Like honestly, this game felt like, on the one hand, it felt like half an hour had gone and nothing happened. But at the same time, the game also felt like it was 17 hours long with how slow everything was. Again, not just an hour in, but also Newcastle's end. But still, that's also a reason why everything is just too slow in terms of passing, making things happen. Like it was a bit slow. That's why I wouldn't even go too high for the defenders, even though they kept a clean sheet. Pice, let me go with you. Do you agree 7, or would you go a little bit higher than that? Potentially lower than that, I guess.
I'm gonna give him 7.5, man. Just a little bit higher.
Okay.
I think he was really good, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen the clip, but when he like done that jumping over the ball thing, pass it back, like it's going viral on Twitter. That was the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life.
I need to see it.
Bro, honestly, like even rival fans are just pissing themselves. Like this guy is like, I've always said, like he's on something. I swear, like he's just not normal. But yeah, I mean, just multiple times as well, like just getting involved in like, you know, all the scuffles and fouls. Like he's just the leader at the back, man. When Silva's not playing, Rudiger's that guy. So yeah, and I thought he played decent today. So I'm inclined to give him a 7.5.
Fair. That's okay. I have just been yeah, that's exactly what I meant. Like I can't
Bro,
remember.
Honestly, I was laughing for about 5 minutes. Like, I can't stop watching. I'm like, what is he doing?
Exactly.
He's just like,
and I'm like, I can't. You can't even explain what it is that he does there. Like it's so weird. Like
it's just like he lifts his legs up and just does like.
You guys ever play Mario? You guys ever play like the old Mario games, like Mario Party? Or you guys know Waluigi? That's how he runs.
Yeah,
you know who?
It's true. I cannot quite remember that, if I'm honest, Rex. But I appreciate you bringing in the chat as always, bro. But yeah, okay. So we've had a 7 and a 7.5. Charlie, let me go to you. What do you think? 7.5, 7. Whereabouts would you sit Rudiger's rating?
I don't know. I thought it was good. I mean, I'll probably say I'll go with a 7. Defended really well. At times, through large parts of that game, he looked like our most biggest threat going forward when he picked the ball up, drives forward. As Pice was saying, he's always involved in all the moments of the game. He's someone that you just would love. You just want to have on your team. He's always there. He's involved in everything. As I said, got forward well, looked dangerous going forward. Defended pretty well as well. So yeah, I mean, I can't really fault him too much. I thought it was good. I'll go to a 7, but I mean, I've got no issues if he gets a 7.5. I thought it was good again, and I think he's dispelling that myth that is he going to be any good in the back four? I think he's just a top defender. Simple as that.
I couldn't agree more, mate. Clutch, finish it off for us. Well, what rating would you go for Rudiger?
I'm gonna give him the higher because I mean, this guy each week is just making me love him more and more. So I'm gonna go 7.5. Unfortunately, he's probably going to be the highest person I rate today, but yeah, I'm going to go with 7.5. I love Rudiger to death.
Fair dues. Do excuse the ambulance sound in the background. But, ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 7s and 2 7.5. Meaning, if you're aware of how things go here, please let me know in the chat what you would rate him. I know some of you have already put your rating down, but if you could do it again now, either 7 or 7.5. If you go below that, it's going to count as 7. If you go above that, it's going to count as 7.5. But please put your ratings for him in the chat so we can make a decision as we have a 2v2 in terms of ratings for Rudiger here. And get that going so we can move on up along that team. All right. 2 7.5s I can see. 7.5, 8, 7.5, 8. Okay. 7.5, 7.5, 9, 7.5. I think 7.5 has won. Charlie, we have been outvoted, but here we are. Let's get the questions in. Clutch, I'll go with you first on this one. Obviously, in the second half, playing more for central centre-back than obviously right centre-back off a back 2, I guess. But still, it's not much to say. Like, not like did anything wrong defensively. If anything, in my opinion, I thought he dealt almost surprisingly well or admirably well with Chris Wood, obviously. By the way, have any of you heard of that? When Chris Wood is like, he was talking about something and he's like, touch wood, it just touched himself. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. But anyway, I thought he dealt with that very well because Chris Wood has the highest aerial duel percentage in the whole Premier League. So considering that, I think Christensen did well. But again, similar like for Rudiger, just he was less doing a little bit. Decent, I guess. I mean, we ended up with Rudiger on a 7.5, so I'll give Christensen a 7. But otherwise, I would have just gone 6.5. The one thing I will say against Rudiger, by the way, the one reasonable chance we had until quite late on was Rudiger's header from a corner in the first half, and that was an awful header. Like that, he needs to do much better with that. But anyway, I'll give Christensen a 7 just because Rudiger was 0.5 higher, and I don't think he was a full point worse, if I'm honest. But I'll see what you think, Clutch. What you got?
I'm going to give him the 7. I think he's a 6.5, but I am going to push it up to a 7. Specifically because I thought he was solid defensively, and he was the guy who passed the ball to Werner that Werner tried to control with his thigh for whatever reason.
Oh really? Was that Christensen's pass?
Yeah, it was Christensen who made that pass.
There you go.
So I'm going to give him a 7 for that. I thought he was solid.
Okay, I hear you. Let me go the other way around like I did earlier. Pice, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I probably agree with a 7 as well. It's weird because, like, I think the problems were just build up and obviously just start midfield and attack, less than defense. Because they didn't really trouble us that much, but yeah, I mean, like Clutch said, I probably agree with what Clutch said. To be honest with you, it's hard to rate these defenders. Like Rudiger, I have points for because just leadership. Like some of the run, like a couple of runs he was going on as well, man. Like he was looking like our best attacker at one point. Like a couple of corners he won that brought in corners, and then the fans got up and like just Christensen's a hard one for me. Not really sure.
It is a tricky one. Like I said, I probably would have gone 6.5 if I gave Rudiger 7. So now I just pushed it up that 0.5 as well, basically to just make it even with Rudiger, I suppose. Charlie, what do you reckon? 7 too high for Christensen, even if we gave Rudiger the 7.5 in the end, or would you go along with it?
No, I think the 7's fair. I thought he had a half decent game. Obviously, not quite involved as much as Rudiger was, but I thought he defended well. He had a good shot from distance. Literally right at the start of the game that just dipped over. And as Clutch said, that ball over the top for Werner. If we had someone better, then that could have been a goal, and he could have had an assist to his name. And we might be having a slightly different conversation. But I thought he was good, so I think the 7's fair.
Fair enough. Because we started on the left side of the centre backs, let's start on the left side of the fullbacks, I suppose. Malung Sarr, I mean, he didn't have a shit game like he did against Luton, but he just had especially second half when he was kind of a wing back until obviously Pulisic replaced him. It's just the players just know he's not comfortable, so he doesn't really get the ball enough, if I'm honest. Although he played one lovely pass to Havertz, which unfortunately Havertz got kind of, as he tried to control it, got a push in the back and then couldn't quite control it with him. But otherwise, he was just very quiet, and then he's not that good of a left back. He's even worse of a wing back just because he doesn't trust himself sometimes to do forward thinking things. And the way Newcastle played, he just wasn't enough. Just wasn't needed enough defensively for that to be much of a thing to go on about. But do I think he was awful? No. So I'm gonna say 6, but I would be okay if you guys say like 5 or 5.5 or whatever. I don't know. I'm just being a bit lenient because I'm like, he didn't really do anything wrong defensively. And the other thing is just him playing out of position. I know he's played that position a few times now, but it's still not his position. So that's why I don't want to be too harsh on him not doing enough going forward, because I'm like we are fully aware that that's going to be the case once he starts. So it's almost like I'm not even expecting it. So that's why I'm not going to be too harsh when he doesn't do it, if that makes sense. Charlie, do you agree with that? Do you see what I mean? Or do you think he was worse than the 6?
No, look, it wasn't one of his best games, and he didn't contribute an awful lot, but he wasn't awful. It wasn't like he was like a million miles the worst player of the pitch and he was made loads of mistakes. Just thought he was average, really. I mean, I'll probably more inclined with a 5.5, but yeah, look, it wasn't his best game. But he wasn't awful. Like that's for sure. We've seen a lot worse performances in recent weeks and today from certain players than Sarr. So I think a 5.5 is fair, really. Not his best game, but he wasn't awful.
Okay, I hear that. Clutch, what do you think?
I tend to agree with Charlie. I think 5.5. He seems hesitant to pass the ball, though. Especially when he gets it on the way over there. He just doesn't know what he wants to do with it. Then he gets put under pressure. loses it or passes backwards. I don't think he's a bad player. I think there's a player developing with there, but there's not much you can do when you got to play left back, unfortunately. I would probably say it would be about the same as Saul last game for me. I think they are about the same. So I'd probably, 5.5.
Ooh, I do personally think Saul was better than Saad today, but hey, here we are. It doesn't matter. Two 5.5s and 1.6 so far. Price. Which one are you going to go with? Or are you going to even go lower than that potentially?
I think it's going to be an average 6 for me. I don't see the need for me to dock him down from the average rating personally. I just think he was, like I expected him to be honest. Average.
Okay. In that case, ladies and gentlemen, here we are again at 2v2 in terms of rating. So the chat is needed one more time. 5.5 or 6 for Malungsar. Again, if you're going to say higher than 6, it's going to count as 6. If you say lower than 5.5, it's going to count as 5.5. But please put your ratings for Malungsar in the chat so we can move on to good old Chalaba on the other side of that back four. Okay, I've had a 6 by Abdul. Big up yourself. Big up, by the way, everyone's to tune in. We have 240 people watching. Big up yourself. Subscribe if you haven't already. Be massively appreciated. Like I said, 6 from Abdul, 5.5, 6, 5.5, 5.5. NA, does that count? No, it doesn't. 6, 5, 5. It's very even so far. 5, 6, 6. Bro, you people are not helping me because it seems about as even as the bloody split we had in the panel already. So I don't really know what that leaves us with. All right, another 6, 5.5, 5. I'm gonna go for the 5.5, and I know I usually say it only counts as the one I said. Okay, Dill said 10. Pick up yourself. Yeah. I'm not going to I refuse to make it a thing, the whole 5.75, because once I start that, we will always have that and it will become even more difficult. So I'm going to go for the 5.5 just because there was more people that went lower, even though I say it doesn't count like that, but I have to make a decision at some point and I can't sit here for the next half an hour. So Trevor Chalobah on the other side. Pice, Charlie and Clutch already gave their thoughts. Do you think it was a penalty and he got away with it? Or
yes, it was a penalty.
So?
It was 100% a penalty. I'm sorry, you can't grab someone's shirt. He didn't win the ball. Unless I'm seeing things differently, then for me, it was a clear penalty. I'm biased, so yeah, it was a penalty for me. And I thought, I don't know, I've said this recently on recent streams. I thought he's been a bit suspect recently. 1v1 defending, he's definitely not as solid as the start of the season. 1v1 at the start of the season, I felt like you couldn't get past him. He just had every attribute. But I don't know, he's kind of becoming a little bit reckless, he's flinging his legs too much at players. I don't know. It's just, I don't know what's going on with him. I'm going to give him a 5 today.
A 5, okay. Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I said to Clutch before the stream that I'm not 1,000,000% sure if it's a penalty just because he pulled him backwards and the guy fell forwards. And I'm like, there's a foul in there. But to me, it's like it's Murphy's own fault. Don't fall forwards then if you pull backwards. Do you know what I mean? If you fell backwards, I'm like, yeah. Stole ball. But because you fall forwards, clearly the pull back wasn't that hard. Otherwise, how did you fall forward? Because he clearly didn't pull you enough backwards. If he pulled you enough, right, hard enough, then you couldn't have even possibly fallen forwards. So it's definitely one where if the ref gives it, VAR won't overturn it the other way. But the ref hasn't given it, so VAR aren't giving it. That's how I see it. But regardless of whether it's a foul in the end or not, what is he doing even getting into that position? You're much bigger than the guy. You're much stronger than the guy. Defend properly, what is that? But I will let him off a little bit in the sense of that this is not his natural position. And I know he's played right back in the past, but I think it's the first time he's actually played right back for us this season. So I'll give him that. If he played right back more regularly, I would probably go lower than the 5. But because he does, it's kind of his first time here to play it. I'm gonna agree with Pice as 5, I'm honest, but yeah, he had some positive moments going forward, I suppose, but clearly also you could see that it's just not. It's not natural to him yet to play as a right back. Sometimes he didn't really know what to do. Him and Ziyech's chemistry was basically non-existent. The amount of times they had misunderstandings between each other, it happened way too much for me personally. So yeah, I'm gonna go along with that 5. Charlie, 5 too high for you, too low for you? What do you think?
No, I think the 5's fair. I didn't think he was awful today. I think I probably would have preferred to see Christensen play right back than Chalobah. Christensen played right back against Palace, so I'm not really sure why he couldn't play right back today. I think
Chalobah didn't play that day, though.
He didn't play that day, but I mean, I think I'd feel more comfortable with Christensen at right back than Chalobah.
Okay.
Just a bit more experienced. But he wasn't terrible. But what I will say is, as a young player, there's going to be inconsistencies and there's going to be mistakes. But I have noticed that obviously he was exceptional in the cup final, but in the last 3 league games, he's made a few defensive errors. Like against Burnley, he wasn't good. You know, there's one where he tries to be clever and shepherd the ball out. He gets robbed, and the ball across the box is better. It's a tap in, gives away the penalty against Norwich, and then he should have given away a penalty today as well. So, there's mistakes, but he's young and he should cut those out of his game. But yeah, I think a 5 today is fair because he did give away a stonewall penalty.
There you go. Sorry, I'm slightly distracted by what Clutch put in a private chat here.
Tuchel's quote is good.
Yeah, exactly. Post-match comments obviously asked about the little trip that we have coming up with the whole sanctions, that we're not sure how much money we can actually spend and stuff on travel. And the quote is, my last information is we have a plane and we can go by plane and come back by plane. If not, we go by train. If not, by bus. And if not, I will drive a 7-seater. Big up yourself, Tuchel. But please don't crash if you drive a 7-seater. But yeah, no, there you go. So we've had 3 5s now. Am I not mistaken? Have we done 3 people? I think so. So we're missing. Clutch. Do you think 5 also where you'd go?
No, I'm also going to go 5. Like Pius said, it's been suspect defending for him in the last couple games. Like I said, his last game, he just wants to throw his leg out there and try to get the ball, and it's always in a reckless place, and he'll either dive with his head and try to get it. I think he's too anxious right now, and he needs to have maybe go off to the bench and use Christensen. Maybe, I don't know, but it wasn't great today. So yeah, 5 is what I'd give him.
There you go. Yeah, I hear it. It's a tough one because on the one hand, yeah, play Christensen, but at the same time, he hasn't been bad enough, like a Lukaku bad enough for 10 games in a row where you're like, okay, it's just not feasible anymore. And Christensen is the one that's going to leave in the summer, regardless of sanctions or not. Christensen is leaving. Had nothing to do with the sanctions. So I'm not sure. Let's get to the midfielders. Jorginho didn't have a fantastic game. I can't lie. I mean, there was a few times where he helped nicely to play us out from the pressure of Newcastle. But then he slowed it down too much, and then didn't play a direct ball. I mean, he played a couple of direct balls. One wonder ball at the very end to Kai Havertz, but yeah. But the wonder ball definitely bails him out for me. Now, I was going to probably give him a 5.5, but I think that pass is so special, I'm going to give him a full point extra for it, and therefore end up on a 6.5. But I don't think in overall he was particularly great. Again, do I think it's all necessarily on him? No, because I think the centre-backs or the defenders were too slow at passing. I think Mount was awful. I think Kante, in terms of receiving the ball and opening himself up to get to receiving the ball and doing something useful with it going forward. Pointless. Timo Werner was either offside or just shit. And Kai Havertz was up against Dan Burn, so it was difficult for any of the midfielders, but I still think he could have done a bit better, should have done a bit better. But the ball at the end for Kai Havertz, wow. That's the only frustrating thing, but I'm like, Georgie can play those passes. I just wish he played them a bit more often. Sure, we don't always make those runs, obviously. But sometimes we do, and the pass doesn't come. But that ball, oh my days, it couldn't have been any more perfect, honestly. Of course, it needed the wonder touch from Havertz, but still, it was a great pass. Clutch. Obviously, the performance overall, I presume you're going to agree, wasn't that fantastic either. But overall, including the assist, what rating would you give him in the end?
A 5.5. I think the assist, you are right, does give him an extra point, but I would give him a 4.5 before that. I don't think it's completely his fault. I thought he was left on an island alone. One of the reasons why Kante and Mount don't work in front of him. Kante just can't play that A role. He doesn't come back to defend very often. He was playing often higher than Mount for whatever reason. He never came back to help, and that's why when Kovacic came on, you saw Georgie have a little bit more room and space because somebody actually came and helped him in the midfield a little bit. So, yeah, it's not entirely his fault, but he just wasn't good today, and that assist did bail him out pretty heavy.
There you go. Fair enough. We've had one 5.5, including the assist, one 6.5. So sitting at a 6 for the time being. Pice, how harsh or not harsh would you go?
I was going to give him a 5, and then kind of using the same logic as you, I was going to end up at a 6. I definitely thought he's below average. Yeah, I don't know. last few months, I think he's been really sort of influential, and then before the last few months, he's been really influential to our play, and I'm not getting that recently. I don't know, like especially with our build up, like he's not being used as like the main outlet, and when he is, he's kind of just passing it back. Like it was just amazing to see that assist because I know he's got that in him. Like yeah, it's just I don't know. I don't think he was great to be honest, but that assist was amazing. It was Fabregas-esque stuff, esque. Can't say that word. Fabregas-esque stuff. Yeah,
It's tough when the word before ends on an S.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that was such an amazing pass. I've watched it 3 or 4 times. The execution and then Kai's touch and finish, obviously, just beautiful goal. Like those are the sort of goals that win goal of the season over individual goals because it's more like a team goal, one to the other. So from all the way back in the middle of the pitch, pretty much. So yeah, it was such a good goal. But overall, not great to be honest with you.
No, fair. But you said 6 there in the end, so we still sit at that 6. Before I go to you, Charlie, what do you think? Do you agree with that 6? Would you go a bit lower? Do you think the assist pushes him a bit higher? How would you put it?
Yeah, I think the assist definitely pushes him higher. It's a goal. It's a goal-winning, game-winning, contribution in that regard, and it's a piece of brilliance that we have seen him do. I mean, I don't know which one's better, that one or the one that he played over the top for Tammy Abraham against Watford a few seasons ago. Both equally as good as each other. But yeah, I thought he struggled in this game today. He's not been at his best for a number of weeks now. Possibly could even push that into the month bracket. I thought he was getting beaten quite easily in the middle of the park. And as you say, in these sort of games, he slows it down too much. You're trying to build up, play quick tempo. The ball gets to him. He just kills the momentum in the middle of the park. And it's a bit frustrating. He's a top player, but yeah, I think recently he hasn't been that great. But the pass was fantastic. So he gets the 6. I would give him a 5 otherwise, but yeah, the 6 for the pass.
Fair dues. Let's move higher up the pitch. And Pies, by the way, I have seen your message. Don't worry. We will get that done. Kante. Now, defensively, when he did come back and he tried to win tackles, very good. There was one when he was steaming along the edge of our box, really, to make sure he gets an interception in there as one of the Newcastle players waiting for the ball to drop and get a volley in, which, you never know how dangerous that could have been. So there's moments like that where he certainly wins the ball back, or there was one run in the second half. But then the pass at the end of the run, I'm like he had Lukaku in front of him and he just, what do we, that's the frustrating part. And it's also because obviously in the Sarri days, it wasn't working either, but then he played it at least every game, every week. So the longer the season went on, the better he got at it. Now it's sometimes double pivot, sometimes 8, sometimes basically number 10, which is especially second half today when cover was much deeper than Kante for the majority of the game, a lot more alongside Georgie than Kante was. I just don't understand why we do that. Again, my confusion is, okay, if you choose to play Kante and Mount as the 8, okay, do what you need to do, Tuchel. But why would not Mount be on the right when we know that Mount and Ziyech work so well together? Those things, I just don't get them. I just don't get that, really. But yeah, his performance overall, it wasn't bad. It just wasn't great going forward, but it was decent defensively, so I'll probably go for 6. It's just average. I know some people in the chat think it was better. I just don't agree, if I'm being perfectly honest. Charlie, what about you? Do you think it was better than the average 6?
I don't know. He had some good moments, but again, it wasn't he didn't really do anything that stood out. Yeah, he broke up play quite well. He did win the ball half at the pitch at moments, but again, I know he's got better in the more advanced positions, but he just looks so unnatural on the ball near the goal. It just doesn't look that comfortable there for me. So yeah, I don't know. I just think average today from Kante. I'd probably go with the 6. Nothing awful, but nothing that really stood out either. So yeah, just average is the perfect way to sum it up, really.
Fair dues. Also, big up yourself, Breda. Sorry if I butchered your name. Didn't add anything. Just sent a super sticker, so I appreciate it very much. And like Rex said, yeah, Vamos Reda, big appreciate it very much. Okay, so 2 6s for the time being clutch. Let me go to you. What do you think? 6 reasonable? Would you go lower? What do you think?
Why does his fan base treat him like he's a kid and he can't be criticized? Like, I don't understand it. Like, it makes no sense. I see 8s and 7s. He wasn't that. He offered almost nothing going forward. Conte is good at what Conte does. We can never discount that. He does what he.
But he played,
he
yeah,
did
exactly.
today.
Sorry to interrupt you. He played it as attacking 8. You can't just say, okay, he won the ball, that's why he was still an 8. No, he was playing in a position where you need to do things going forward, and he didn't.
He was part of one of the reasons why we didn't have much attack going forward. If Kovacic was on the field and not him, I guarantee you we have more chances and opportunities created than Conte. That's just how it is. Conte's great. He's our best player. No one can deny that. But in the position he played today, we didn't need him. Why do we need Conte for Newcastle? Why? I get they're better. Don't twist that. But we didn't need him. We needed Kovacic, and he wasn't there. So it's a 6 for me. No, I'm sorry. I'm stop treating Conte like he's a child. Yes, it's cool. He smiles all the time. So does Timo Werner. But guess what? Timo Werner's bad. We're not going to use that. But still, Conte, he didn't do what he needed to do in the position he was supposed to be playing.
Fair. I mean, I think actually that is correct. Someone said Kante played the superb ball to Kai when Kai in the end hit the bar. I mean, he said hit the ball, but probably meant hit the bar. That is true. He did do that. But that was on the counter when we were 1-0 up in the 90th minute. It's great, but that doesn't mean that the whole performance was great, in my opinion. And someone said in a poll of 70,000 people, he's second in terms of man of the match behind Kai. But the fact that Kai was named man of the match shows you how irrelevant that is. Also, who was in the vote, the pick that he was in the 4 to be voting from. If he's not in the vote, do you see complaints in the comments that he isn't up for man of the match? I don't. I wouldn't have put it there. But hey. But Clutch, did you say 6 as well, or would you go even lower than that?
Yeah, I think 6. Like, he did his job well. The things that he normally does, he was very good at that. But the attacking and going forward part, not helping out in the midfield with Jorginho, while Jorginho was pretty much there by himself, which is one of the things I think Kovacic does very well as well. So I'd give him an average 6.
Okay. And then Pice, would you agree? Do you think it was a 6? Do you think it was worse? Do you think it was better? Like a lot of the chat seem to think?
No, I don't really get where the chat are getting the high ratings from, to be honest with you. I thought he was pretty average, if not a bit below average. I don't think he was great going forward. I've said this numerous times, when you're playing like it was today, like, fair enough, Tuchel said he didn't expect Newcastle to play a deep block in a back 5, but at the end of the day, like, that's where I would have at half time come into play and brought Kovacic on, because Kante's not suited for these games where you have to break teams down. And you know, a year or so ago, probably more than a year now, Kovacic wasn't, but now he is. So now he's got that into his game. Just play him, man. Like I said, I would understand it if we was drawing against Lille or even losing. You know, rest your best players, fine. But we're 2-0 up. Like, I don't get it. Like, I just don't get it. Kante's better in the Champions League anyway. Play him on Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever we're playing.
Well, Tuesday we're going to play Kante and Kova again, like we did in the first thing.
Oh, like, it's just, I just don't get it, man. I don't get why Kante plays in these types of games. Like, play him in the big games, man. Like, I just don't think he was very influential. I really don't. I don't see where everyone's getting the high ratings from. Like, at the end, he done a good little dribble, which won us a foul, but that was like 90th minute. Yeah, he played the ball to Havertz, but I mean, as you guys said, he's playing in the 8th position. He didn't offer anything going forward. So, yeah, I'm going to have to give him a 6. But to be honest with you, it could be like a 5.5. I wouldn't be against it.
I'm going to be real. If we were playing in a double pivot with Mount in front and then Kante and Jorginho, I'd probably give Kante an 8. But we weren't, so.
I mean, I'd see what you mean, but then I'd expect more from him in terms of helping us build the play. And then we don't know if he would have done that, and usually he doesn't. So, yeah, I'm not sure. But hey, let's move on to Mason Mount. Sorry, chap, that you're having to disagree with us so heavily, but obviously it might be the vocal minority. There's like, 10 people in the chat or talking about this, but there's like 250 people watching, so who knows what the other people think. Mason Mount. Yeah, I'm going to give him a 5 because it wasn't great. His corners and free kicks weren't great. And he didn't have the defensive input that N'Golo at least had. And going forward, they were equally as poor. Arguably, Mount was even worse. Obviously, Kante had that ball for Kaiba, but then Mount wasn't on the pitch anymore. So maybe he would have done that too. We will never know. But yeah, I think it was poor. Didn't do anything helpful going forward. Didn't really see much going backwards. Didn't help us keep possession at all. But also, like I said earlier already, having the left side with Sarr and Timo Werner was going to be difficult for anyone. But it's difficult really how to judge that. Like, do I give him a less bad rating because he was surrounded by a more bad play? It's a tough one. So I still give him a 5, but I do think even if it was Cover in that position long term, Cover would have been better, but only in the sense of that he dribbles past more players, and that would have helped us in terms of beating the press and going forward. But having Sarr and Werner around him would have also made him struggle a bit. I'm very sure of it. So here we are. But I said 5. Pice, start with you this time. 5, would you go for as well? Would you go a bit higher than that? Do you think it's a bit harsh?
No, not at all. I mean, I almost want to give him lower because of some of his dreadful set pieces today, to be honest with you. God, they were awful. Like, yeah, I was expecting more from Mount in the 8 role. And I know you said he's got the side of obviously Werner and so on. I get that, but still don't think like he did enough in terms of going past players, playing into the front man, which was Havertz for most of the game. Yeah, just supremely average, but I guess even below average for like the reasons I've said, like just didn't really offer a threat like Kante. You have to judge it against him. Set pieces are or can be big moments in games like we've seen this season with obviously we've scored so many headers and set piece goals and he didn't deliver from them. Crosses, like, yeah, he was below average. I'm going to go for 5 because I expect so much better from him. I have high standards now of Mount, and yeah, like especially because he's got so many. I know Newcastle are not like bottom of the league, but they're lower half of the table, right? I know they've been on good form, but he's got a lot of his goals against the lower half of the table. And when you get that opportunity to play in a deeper position, which you say you supposedly is your best position, like, yeah, like I just don't think he did enough.
No, well, I don't even remember. Was it Mount that played the through ball to Werner when he was offside for the penalty shout? I don't remember if it was Mount. Was Mount even still on the pitch then?
I mean, all I remember was I was shouting at Werner because he just can't stay on side to save his life.
Yeah, and even like, by the way, okay, yeah, it was a clear pen, but the fact that he didn't just score that pissed me off in itself already. Like, I know he wouldn't have stood anyway, but come on, man, have some sort of balls. Maybe I need to get him a Manscaped brand deal because the man just don't own any. Like, maybe that's why he doesn't have a brand deal. But it's just poor. Like, it's just really, really poor. And it's poor from Tuchel to start him. I can't lie. Like, it's just poor. But hey, here we are. 2-5 for Mason Mount so far. Clutch, go along with that, or would you go a bit different?
I'm just going to be very negative towards him because I have a very high standard for Mount, especially in the 8, where I think he's the best. I'm going to give him a 4. I thought he was awful in every sense of the word. Like, and I get like there's bad situation right now, but I got to judge it on the game. So to me, he was poor. Like, I don't remember any good things from him. Like, he handled the ball, even though he may have been fouled, but still, you don't pick up the ball when the thing isn't being called. So for me, it was just terrible. 4.
Yeah, okay. Charlie, you finish it off for us. We've had 2 5s and 1 4. Where are you going to go with it?
Well, I was gonna be difficult. I was going to go in the middle and go 4.5. I agree with Clutch. I thought he was terrible today, and I've got to be equal with criticism. Just because he's Mason Mount and he's from the academy and we all love him, he's not immune to criticism. When he's had a bad game, then we have to say he's had a bad game. And today was awful. Deployed in what many people believe is his best role in an 8 position. He was terrible today. As Pice touched on, set piece delivery was really poor. We've been pretty effective scoring goals from set pieces. So it's a shame to see that delivery was off today. Just offered nothing going forward.
Most corners taken by Ziyech today, though.
Yeah, he did. I think he took a couple, but like it just in general, the deliveries that Mount put in today were poor, and we've been dangerous from set pieces in recent weeks. And he just offered nothing going forward really at all. It was just by the high standards he set, it was just really disappointing, and it was just a nothing performance. I'd go with the 4.5.
Fair dues. Hey, 1 4, 1 4.5, and 2 5s. I think still reasonable to give a 4.5 overall then. Let's move on to Hakim Ziyech. It's a weird one. Like, I saw already people in the chat saying he was pretty good. I don't agree. Like, it was obviously second half was a bit difficult for him because he was kind of having to play a bit of right wing back. But he just couldn't get past players, and only on 1 or 2 occasions did he get a good pass off. But that one ball cross he had to Kai, that was nearly as good as Geordie's. Not quite as special, I thought, but nearly as good. And Kai should certainly have scored it, the head up 1,000,000%. But outside of that, did he do anything really? Like, he had a couple of moments where he could have crossed and he couldn't get past the first man. Or not past the first man, it's the wrong wording, but as in his cross got blocked and stuff. So I'll give him the same as Kante. I'll give him a 6. But I could maybe do 6.5, but that's then the end of it. I wouldn't go higher than that, if I'm honest. It was decent, nothing awful. It was his first game after a couple of weeks and after injury as well. But I want more from him, especially in that formation, which is like he's the only one that really benefits from playing that formation. I guess to some extent Mount, but Mount really didn't today. Compared to last game where he played in the front three and had a goal and assist. Even if the assist was a corner. But yeah, I'm not sure if people are going to be angry at me, but yeah, I'll say 6. Pice, why don't I start with you? What do you think? 6 too low, 6 too high? I mean, actually, some people are saying worse. Some people are saying 5. So from what I read earlier in the chat, I thought people were going to go super high with this.
Yeah, no, I'm going 5, to be honest with you. I thought he was again below average. I do give him a little bit of leeway. So maybe a 5.5 because it is his first game back. And I do think that he thrives when he's in a consistent run of games. But if you're just judging it off isolation, yeah, he was pretty poor. But to be honest with you, like, I don't know what you guys felt. I felt like we just wasn't really passing the ball to him a lot. Like in the previous games where we played 4 at the back, he was kind of the main guy for everything. Like every attack went through him. And I felt like it was more on the left-hand side of things today, which was kind of strange. But yeah, I mean, he had a couple of stupid fouls, like high boots and just like the ref was an idiot.
I still don't think that he actually touched the guy's face there, by the way. But
I know, but like if you go up like that, it's going to be a foul. Like I don't know. I just
me so much. Like we've all played a bit of football, right? I'm sure we have, but like it's only a professional football thing that when a boot is anywhere near you but doesn't actually touch you, that you just jump on the ground and just roll around. Like in normal football, if you play football 5-a-side, 7-a-side, you don't do that. At least the people I play football with, they don't do that, or I don't. Like, it's weird. Like you play for Newcastle. Like, do you know what I mean? All you've done all game is time waste and dirty fouls. That's all you did all game. And then you got to roll about like a little twat. You know what I mean? It's like all Neymars everywhere, honestly. But fair enough. So which one are you going to settle on? 5 or 5.5?
I'll go with 5.5 just because obviously he had that ball to Havertz where it was a great ball and it should have been a goal. So I'll go with 5.5. But overall, it wasn't great.
I hear you. Absolutely hear you. Charlie, let me go to you. What do you think?
I've got to agree with Price. I think a 5.5. The only sort of mitigating factors that I give him is the fact that, he's not played for a number of weeks now. He wasn't used. I don't think he was used against Burnley. He wasn't used against Luton.
He got injured against Lille, didn't he? And
he literally, I don't think he's played since Lille. That's a good 4 or 5 matches. He's been out of the mix. So you can understand why it was a little bit off the pace. But then having said that, you can counter that with the fact that, this is the system that kind of gets the best out of him. But I don't think you can expect someone to come in and just like be pulling up trees and putting a worldy performance in their first game back in like 5 matches. So, yeah, I mean, what he did do today, fantastic ball into the box. We know his delivery is outstanding, which Kai Havertz should have scored with his head. I felt he dealt with Matt Targett reasonably well defensively when he had to. But yeah, otherwise, apart from the cross and some solid defensive work, there wasn't really much else being offered. So yeah, I think the 5.5 is fair.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just find it weird that the same people that want to give Kante an 8 were trying to give Ziyech a 5. Like, that's just super confusing to me. Well, because to me, part of the reason why Ziyech wasn't any better is because Kante was on his side of the midfield. I know people kill me for that, but I honestly believe that. But here we are. Clutch, 2 5.5s and 1 6 so far. Where are you going to go for? Good old Hakeem.
Well, what I am going to say is I think Ziyech was kind of left on an island by himself over there. He didn't have anybody coming over there to overlap, so it was basically just him being marked out of the game. And the time he did find space, he found Havertz. And I thought he came back very well and dealt with pressure. Most of the time when he came back, he got the ball in the corner and got a foul and ended up relieving pressure for us to go push it back up. But with that being said, what did you go, Laurenz?
I said 6.
Let's do 6 to get the chat involved. I'll say 6.
Let's do 6 and get the chat involved. Although from what I've read from the chat, it will probably go lower. But we'll see. We'll see. Especially, we have 273 people watching. First of all, subscribe and smash the like. When I say to at least 150 likes, small click of a button. But please do put in the chat what rating you would give Hakim Ziyech. Obviously, we're deciding between 5.5 and 6. But, put your ratings down, 5.5 or 6. If you go lower, if you go higher, you know the drill by now. But if you are one of the people that don't usually put something in the chat, put something in the chat now, because I don't want just the people that are vocal in the chat. I want everyone to get involved and tell me what ratings they would give him. All right, 6, 6, 5, 6, 5.5, 6.5. Hey, these ratings look a lot like the ones I just did. Ziyech 6, fair dues, bro. 6, 5, 6.5, 6, 5.5, 5, 5, 2. Mr. Cylinder, you've not understood the point of the game. 6, 6, stay silent. Okay. I'm not sure. It's kind of very even. Probably more 6s than 5s so far, but do you have better software for what? 5, 86. Brilliant, Musa. Well done. I'm going to give him the 6 because I've made that decision because it seemed like there's a few more 6s than 5s. I do apologize if it was slightly the other way around. But anyway, let's get to Timo Werner. It's just a waste of space. That's what he is. Like, it might be a nice guy, but on a football pitch, just a waste of space. Like, be more useful if he just worked on the pitch and, I don't know, made sure there was no potholes in the pitch or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, he had such a good control with his thigh the other week from Rubens over the top ball against Luton. And then he kind of tries that again. It hits the very top of his knee and it just bobbles into the goalkeeper's hands. I'm like, what are you doing? And then, the run was good from Mount's ball. And even though I still think just score, he still went around the goalie and got the pen at least. But he was offside again. To be honest, I was surprised that when he had his bad touch, he was actually onside. If anything, I was like, he's definitely off anyway, so who cares? But he actually turned out to be onside. He didn't back out of challenges today, so I'm not just going to give him a plain 0 like I did the other week or in the last game against Norwich. But it still wasn't very good, was it? I'm going to give him like a 3 because, like, did he do anything positive? I can't think of anything. You can't even say he created space today because we never had anything attacking. So you can't even say he created space for others because he didn't. I mean, he might have done, but even if it wasn't used, so that makes it pointless. I'm going to go 3. Not much really to praise him for at all, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. Pies, I'll go with you last on this one, and then you can obviously finish off the Kai one as well just before you need to head off. So, Clutch, what do you think? 3? Is it too high potentially?
Yeah, I'm gonna go 0. He was terrible. He killed nearly every attack when he got the ball. Nearly everyone. It's insane how many attacks he killed. Like he's never gonna make it in the Premier League, and I'm tired of saying it. And it's very evident he's not good enough to play for us in this league. He's a very good player in his own right when he has the to go against the defense that he can use to actually use his pace to get behind. No defense is going to give him that for Chelsea. It's just not going to happen. Maybe Liverpool or City, but we can't be using him for 2 games a year and pay him the salary that he gets paid. He's just not good enough. So it's a 0 for me.
Yeah, exactly. Like like I said, I wouldn't go quite as harsh as 0, but the thing is, I mean, as we were discussing that in the group chat and Pies brought it up, like, you could still play Kennedy. Like, we would all rather Kennedy as a winger than we would Timo Werner. Like, he wasn't even playing as a striker. At least if we had Kennedy, we would have had some width and that would have made the whole game for Son Mount a little bit easier. But, like, Werner, he just ruined it all. Like, honestly. Charlie, would you go as harsh as Clutch? Would you go like myself, or would you even go a little bit higher than I did?
No, I'll give him a 1 because he turned up today. That's it. Like, honestly, he's like, it's all very well. I know he's a nice guy. I'm sure he is, but we're not here for nice guys. We're here for good footballers, and we're here for winning. And he doesn't contribute to any of that. It's just, it's just time and time again. Every time he plays, he does nothing. Absolutely nothing. He just, like, Norwich, he's ducking out of 50-50s. He's not going full pelt for the ball. Today, he's offside all the time like he always is. He doesn't. His first touch is awful. His finishing's terrible. I honestly couldn't name you one good thing that Timo Werner does. Like, what's he good at? Because it's not finishing. It's not creating. It's not. What does he do? It's not defending. I'm struggling to find, like, I don't know if it's just been a massive con and we've been conned into paying 50 million for someone who is just not a good footballer.
But then when you compare it to the 100 million we paid for Lukaku, it kind of seems, kind of a bargain for Burnley. Really.
I said it to you boys in the chat, like when the game was on. I'd love to have known if he'd gone to Liverpool, who were interested in him, would he have been this bad at Liverpool? Obviously, we'll never know, but I wasn't expecting anything amazing from him, but I wasn't expecting Timo to be this terrible at Chelsea. Yeah. He's just been awful, and he has to go in the summer. He literally simply has to. Even if we have to terminate his contract and get no money for him, just get rid of him. He's awful. So a 1 because he turned up.
Fair play. Pice, finish it off. Obviously, you need to head off in a second. I do apologise. It took me a minute.
Sorry. Sorry. I got to be quick. Werner, I'm going to give a 1, just a pity rating. I do agree. I mean, he was absolutely terrible. And as I said, when he was that offside, it's just, like with Werner, even if he scores, it's offside. Or like, there's just never anything that seems to go right for this guy. He's always offside. So yeah, I'll give Werner a 1. Terrible. Couldn't take anyone on. I don't need to go out. It's the same thing I say every game when he starts. He's not a good footballer. And then Havertz, I mean, it's interesting. How many points do you give him for that late winner? Because it was a fucking good goal, I have to say. Like, it was a fucking good goal. But again, I mean, it wasn't the greatest of games from him today. There was obviously factors that go into that. I mean, what's the highest rate? We got 7.5 so far. Yeah. See, the thing is, if I give him an 8, that means he's had a pretty good all-round game, and I don't think he did.
No.
But then, I mean, I would feel weird giving him lower than Rudiger if he got the winner, if you know what I mean. So
yeah, I will be the same. The same people in a minute.
Like, how do I do that? Like, do I give him like an 8 with a star or something just because he scored the goal, or like what? I don't know. Because he has to have the highest ratings. He scored the winner. Like he won us the game. Simple as that. But I guess I have to go with an 8. But all round, he wasn't really an 8, if you get what I mean. Yeah, maybe it's an 8 with like a star. Yeah.
There you go. Pies, appreciate you for being here again. Hopefully, you'll be able to be back on Tuesday so we can discuss a little bit more about the whole potential new owner stuff, because I didn't have time to do a preview yesterday and we didn't really have time to do it today.
Bring in the Saudis. Come on. I want Mohammed El Khareji. I think his name is. He's a Chelsea fan, and if Nazar's article is right, that guy has got the best project I've seen so far. Bring him in.
Hopefully Nazar's article is right. But Pies, appreciate you very much. Everybody check out his website and his Twitter. I'll see you soon, bro.
See you later, guys. See you, Charlie.
Nice one, mate. See you later.
Yeah.
Later.
On that very note, Charlie, I'll stick with you, why don't I? Pies went 8, which I understand the pickle that he was in his own mind, in terms of you want to give the guy that actually won us the game, and he really did win us the game, the highest rating. But was his overall performance really justifying of an 8? Probably not. So it's a tough one to call. What would you go for his rating, Charlie?
Do you know what? It's difficult, mate, because as you said, like, he's contributed with a superb goal. The touch is unreal. It's almost Dennis Bergkamp-esque or Berbatov, the sort of thing that those kind of guys would do. It's superb and it's absolutely spot on. The keeper's right on top of him. He has to get it. He has to get it right. But I mean, other than that, I've got to be honest. His all-round game today, it wasn't that good. It wasn't awful, but it wasn't great. And he has to score that header when the ball comes in from Ziyech. He has to score that header. But he comes up trumps when we need him most, right at the end with a great goal. So, I mean, without the goal, I probably would have given him like a 6 or a 6.5. But with the goal, I kind of feel he warrants a 7.5 or an 8. So I think I think the 8's too high. I just think the 7.5 I think is probably fair. I'll go with the 7.5.
Fair dues. Let me just get that up on screen. And after you, Clutch, what do you think? We've had a 10.5 and an 8 so far. You said earlier, after you gave Rudiger his 7.5, that you weren't going to go as high for anybody else. Do you stick by that?
I do. Even though I don't think it's personally a foul for a red card, somebody else could have. The wrong ref could have got that a red card. And it could have been a very different situation. I do think that could have been a very harsh red card. I think that that goal or that opportunity from Ziyech should have been a goal. But he still scored the winner, so where do I go? I'm going to be nice. I'm going to give him a 7. I'm going to go 7.
Okay. Fair enough. Before I go with my rating, just to read something out which I read earlier, Kai Havertz has 6 goals in his last 7 Chelsea appearances. He's also Chelsea's top goal scorer in all competitions since Thomas Tuchel took charge with 15 goals. He's becoming the main man, and he sure is. But also, like Clutch said, I mean, I'll get to the red card challenge in a minute. I'll ask Charlie as well again, just because he probably forgot to mention it. Yeah, he should score the header. He really has to. But the goal, that's a special goal. You know, it's he controls a 50-yard pass, and without it touching the floor, after controlling it, he volleys it past the goalkeeper. No, he didn't smack volley it, but he volleyed it. Like, he controls it and then volleys it, like, with his second touch. Like, that's outrageous. Do you have to, if you, any of us three, the chat, Pice, whoever, any of us try that, break our fucking ankles. Like, do you know how difficult that is to do? It's mad. And it's so difficult always when, like, we rate an overall performance, and it's like, how much value do I give to not just the goal, the fact that he won us the game, but it was by far the best piece of football that anyone produced in the game. Like, that's so difficult to do that. It's crazy. So I will be going along with what Pi said. I will say 8 from my perspective. Will still leaves us at 7.5. But still, at least he gets joint highest rating. I don't think he was overall fantastic. Absolutely not. But I would also say, to get to the red card. Now, 2 things. Dan Burn, if you are able to dish it out, you better be able to take it. Because all game long, was he flying in elbows first? Hitting Havertz in the back of the neck, hitting Havertz in the back, hitting Havertz in the back of the head. And he also had his elbow up and hit Kai Havertz in the face. Sure, Kai was running onto it and had his elbow a little bit higher. But, like, for me, both should have seen a yellow for the same situation. Like, for me, it's never a red card, personally. But both should have seen a yellow card. But what really pissed me off, like, I'm not sure what Kai obviously said, but then he's lying on the floor pushing Kai. I'm like, really? You've been the guy that's flying into his back on every occasion here. And then you're moaning. Get up, you little scum. You absolute twat. I hate people. I hate it. If you dish out, you better be able to handle it. You little pussy, honestly. It pisses me off, people like that, honestly. Don't care when he had a little wound in your head. Branislav Ivanovic played with a fucking pool of blood in his own boot. And he's not 6'7". Do you know what I mean? Like, grow up, man. What is that? Absolutely embarrassing. Charlie, do you think he was lucky with a red card not being given, or do you think yellow was justified?
I think what's helped him out massively is the fact that the whole time he's kept his eye on the ball. He's not once looked at Dan Burn. Look, you've seen those given as a red card. You certainly have, but I think,
but not when the defender also has his elbow out. That's my call.
I think personally, some referees would have given that as a red card, but I mean, it's the fact that, I mean, the Sadio Mane one on Azpilicueta when we played Liverpool at the start of the year. That was 10 times worse, and I don't even think that he got a booking for that. I don't think he got anything. So yeah, it's a little bit reckless, but it's not endangering an opponent or anything like that. His eyes were on the ball the whole time. So yeah, look, it's a bit nasty, but I think a booking is fair on that.
Fair dues. Let me quickly get to the subs. Obviously, Lukaku came on for Timo Werner. Was a bit pointless, but hey, here we are. Came on at least. And what was the other sub that came on at the same time? Mateo Kovacic coming on for Mason Mount.
Pulisic come on as well.
And then the last sub was Pulisic for Sarr, was it? Yeah, there you go. And then in the end, kind of Pulisic being on the right and Ziyech as the left in terms of wing backs, cross it, I guess, which makes sense. If you have Havertz and Lukaku in the box, at least put them on the strong side for crosses, which somewhat makes sense, I suppose. But let's start with Lukaku. What'd you make of him, Clutch? What would you rate him?
Just thought he was average. Didn't think he really did much. He did have a couple loose touches. So, I mean, I just give him a 6, to be honest. I don't know what he did right. Don't know what he did wrong, technically. Just a 6.
Okay. Charlie, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's much to add. He did, like, as Clutch said, a couple of loose touches, but other than that, he didn't do anything. So he didn't do anything good and he didn't do anything bad. So yeah, I think it's an average 6.
Actually, I'm going to go down to 5.5 because he had... Never mind, that was offside. Never mind.
But he was offside. So
Well, he had an offsides thing where he they put a ball through and he was offsides and he could have shot first time, but he just went into back down mode on the damn burn.
Exactly. But even if he was onside, but no, he was offside again. It's like you're like Werner, just more
Slower.
Sorry?
Slower.
Slower too. I'm gonna because exactly the reasons you gave to me that equates more to a 5 because he didn't do anything good, but had a number of bad touches. To me, that's not a 6. To me, that's a 5. But hey, ending a 5.5 overall. Here we are. Mateo Kovacic, good really. From the bench, obviously he wasn't doing everything. Only played the last 25-ish minutes, but I'm going to give him a 7. Obviously, with a start as a sub 7, not quite comparable to the 7s that other players on the pitch have got. But in terms of the 20-odd minutes that he played, that was the time that we got a goal in. So, yeah, I'm going to say 7. Charlie, okay with that? Okay with you? Okay with that for you? Not sure what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think so. I think he came on, he was effective. He added more energy to that midfield straight away. He picks up a ball, he runs forward, he made some good tackles as well. So for the short amount of time that he was on the pitch, I think the 7's fair.
Reasonable. There you go. Clutch, you agree as well, or would you go something different?
Yeah, he had that one insane dribble that he brought up the pitch. So he did that quite a few times. He's just for me, he's a nailed on starter. Every time I see him, especially when he comes from the bench and he proves in literally a minute or two why he should have started, I start to love this guy more and more. So yeah, it's a 7 for me.
Fair enough. I'm just trying to figure out what someone said in the chat. There you go. All good. And then the last sub, Christian Pulisic. I'm happy to give him an NA. He did one good thing on the left side when he tracked back, won the ball, and then got fouled, I guess. But I was just giving him an NA. He wasn't quite on the pitch for long enough, and I didn't really see him do anything. Clutch, did you, or would you go for an NA as well?
Nah, I'd go for an NA. Like you said, he got that foul, and then him and Havertz made that run, but the pass was to Havertz, and he made the most of it. So I don't think he did anything. So NA. Fair.
And then for you, Charlie, what do you think? NA?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I didn't really notice him do anything at all. So yeah, but NA.
Fair enough. And this time, before we do Tuchel and the performance, unlike last time where I forgot, Edouard Mendy in goal. But whenever he had to make a save, he made those well, especially the one just before half-time was a good save. But his distribution was poor today, whether it's the long balls, they were always too short, making Havertz sprint back so much, making it so, because when the striker has to sprint back to get to the long ball, how is he going to control it? Because not only does the ball itself has pace against him, but he's sprinting against the ball. How are you ever going to control that with a defender in your back that's going to push you as you try to touch it? Impossible. So get those balls longer or don't play them at all. And yeah, it was a bit nervy at times. A couple of ones that got dodgy. Once he tried to pass it to Kante, and Kante fouled the guy instead, even though I think Kante should have done better in that moment. Read the guy behind you, step across him, and then you can't foul him because you're the one first, right? Then if anything, you get the free kick. Although with that referee, who knows? So good saves, but poor distribution. Overall, I'll give him because the one save was very good, I'd say 6.5, but it's just above average, I would say. But nothing outrageously special. Charlie, would you agree, or?
Yeah, I think so. I thought when he was called upon, he made a couple of great saves, particularly the one from that strike right at the end of the first half. And there was another one which I've forgotten, but he did make a couple of decent saves. But like you said, the distribution on occasions wasn't good today at all. And that's something he definitely needs to improve upon. But yeah, the 6.5 I think is fair, just above average, really, all things considered.
Fair do. Sorry, before I go to Clutch for Mendy's rating, I do apologize, H Ready. I did miss the super chat. Sometimes when I'm on the screen of the lineup, then I don't see the super chat. I do apologize, bro. Saying Lukaku was more of an NA. To be honest, you're not even fully wrong. Other than a couple of dodgy touches, but he was on the pitch for nearly half an hour if you include extra time, injury time. So that's too long to get an NA, in my opinion. Only if you view NA as a bad thing, and I don't want to make NA a bad thing, because sometimes when you come on for the 5 minutes and you get an NA, doesn't mean you were bad. That's why I wouldn't go NA for this one. But I appreciate the donation very much, and I do apologize. I didn't see earlier, mate. And then Clutch, we've had 2 6.5s. I think Charlie agreed, if I'm not mistaken. Would you go along with it as well, or would you go something different?
Well, I don't think I go anyway. It makes much of a difference, but I'd stick with the 6.5. I mean, I love Mendy, so let's give him the higher rating. I was probably going to go 6, but let's give him the higher rating. I'll say 6.5.
Fair dues. Let's do the performance with Kai Havertz. Let's do the Tuchel rating with Rudiger. Why not? We have to do it somewhere. Clutch, I'll start with you before I say anything. How would you rate Thomas Tuchel's performance today?
frustrating is the best word I can say. I'm gonna give him a 6 because I would have taken Kai Havertz off with the yellow card. To be honest, I would have taken him off, but he didn't take him off. So it's just there's so many frustrating decisions. Like at the halftime, how we didn't make any subs. At least one. Like Kovacic was a must at halftime, I thought, but it's just it just proves why he makes millions of dollars to manage Chelsea and I don't. Like I can't be too mad. I mean, I'm getting more frustrated that we're not making substitutions at halftime. We're just kind of changing formation and seeing if that works with the same personnel. Werner being on the pitch at halftime, that's upsetting to me. But I like Tuchel, so I'm not going to go too harsh. I'm going to go 6.
Okay, but so did you mean it as a frustrating thing that he didn't take Havertz off even though he scored the win in the end?
After Lukaku, because I would have not brought Lukaku on. I would have brought Pulisic instead of Lukaku on. But with all that being said, after you brought Lukaku and you brought Kovacic on, my last sub would have been taking Havertz off because that's how I would have played Lukaku through the middle, Pulisic on the left, Ziyech on the right. But he didn't do that. He took Sarr off for Pulisic. So that shows that he did something that I didn't. Kept Havertz on. Havertz scored the winner. There we go.
Fair play. Now, for me, it's the same effects that applied for the last game, although it was more comfortable. It was also against a much worse team. Again, I don't think we should forget that Newcastle hadn't lost a single game in 2022. I think we should just ignore that. And they've made a lot of teams struggle. Sure, maybe not quite as good teams as ourselves, but in the situation we're in with the amount of players we're missing, plus everything going on, I'm still going to go 8. Not 10, but 8. And for the game itself, I'd probably say 7. I'll give him 1 extra for everything that's going on. And I think he's handling it incredibly well, if I'm honest. But yeah, for me, it's mostly Werner, the whole Mount Kante thing, not ideal. For me, rather than Mount Kante being annoying, to me, it's more annoying that they're not the other way around. That's much more annoying to me personally than the fact that Kovacic didn't start. I mean, yeah, but I don't know whether someone's fit or not. So when sometimes Kovac's rested after recently having an injury, and at the moment he seems to play one game, be rested. Play one game, be rested. The fact that that's happening makes me think that needs to happen. Otherwise, it wouldn't be happening because I can't see a way in which Tuchel doesn't like us think Kovacic is the best midfielder we have every game he plays. So the fact that he doesn't play him sometimes tells me that he's trying to be careful, which if that's the case, fair dues. That's why I'm not going to be too critical of that part in itself. But Werner starting, it's inexcusable. Like after the last game, like we were sat here absolutely ranting at him because the guy just pulls out of every challenge. So that's outrageous to me. It's not even a point where I'm like, oh, take him off at halftime. It's not even about the performance. He shouldn't have started in the first place. Once you started him, it doesn't really make a fucking difference anymore whether you change at halftime or not. You've ruined that. But hey, here we are. I said 8. Tuchel. Clutch said 6. Charlie, where would you go for Tuchel's rating?
So I thought he'd done all right today. The only frustrating thing for me, obviously, as we touched on Werner starting, which is it's just a no now. It's just a flat out no unless we're absolutely desperate. The only criticism of Tuchel I have in general really, so I think he's absolutely superb. You know, he's got to be the guy that stays here for the next number of years and help us through this and be take us into the new era. You know, there's no better man. But what my only, frustration with him is the fact that in a lot of games, he just waits too long to make a substitution. That's the only thing I can say that actually, do you know what, that needs to be improved upon.
Would
really
you include today as well in that, considering you changing the 62nd minute?
I think so. I would have liked to have. I mean, maybe not half time, but I mean, there's no reason why it shouldn't have been. But definitely, maybe 10 minutes into the second half, something needs to change. I often find that sometimes instead of being instead of being proactive, he's more reactive with his changes. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I can't really fault him today. I thought he was pretty decent. I'd probably give him a 7, or I'd probably go with 7.5. I thought he did the best he could. The changes just could have been earlier.
That's fair. That is absolutely fair. And lastly, I'm not sure if you've been here for one of these, Charlie. I don't think you have actually. What we started doing recently is also give an overall team performance rating type thing, which obviously I could be boring and put it into a calculator, add up all ratings and divide them, but that's boring. So we make up our own performance rating that we sit here and give an overall rating. Now, for me, I'm gonna give the overall performance I'm debating between a 6 and a 6.5. Because the overall performance isn't the goal, but the goal was so good, it makes the whole performance better. So I'm gonna say 6.5. You know, everything going on. I don't want to be too harsh on the boys. So I'm gonna say 6.5. Charlie, go with you next. 6.5 too high for you, too low for you, or right about where you go as well?
I mean, as you say, like it's really tough circumstances for the lads at the moment, and fair play to them for the application they're putting in and stuff in very difficult circumstances. Yes, the goal was very good, but as you touched upon, that doesn't equate to the whole performance. I've got to be honest. I thought the performance was dreadful today. I thought it was really bad. I think the performance was awful. Literally, as I said before, I think it was one of the worst performances this season when we just had one moment of brilliance that bailed us out. So, I mean, I'm probably maybe looking at a 4 or 5 for the performance. I really
Do you think
think
it was
very
worse
good.
than games in which we conceded like 3 goals?
Defensively not, but
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, defensively, the performance wasn't bad. It's just everything in the mid, and everything from the centre backs onwards was just average, basically. Yeah. Just not good enough. So I mean, I think it's a lot, but yeah, I mean, I'm looking at probably a 4.5 at absolute best, a 5.
Hey, you pick what you want to pick. If you want to go,
mate, I'm going to go 4.5, and I'm just going to own that. I just think it was poor today.
Hey, bro, no problem whatsoever. You think what you think. Clutch, what do you think? Do you go along with Charlie? Would you more lean on my side, or are you exactly spot on in the middle where we sit right now?
I think the circumstances are definitely tough, but we did see them come out in Norwich, and they came out and they played really well. So, what's the difference? I mean, I shouldn't say they.
A better opposition.
A couple players,
I would say, mostly.
Yeah, better opposition, but we're still Chelsea at the end of the day. Like, we still have the players who are good enough and way better than what we've seen today. So, I'm going to go for a 5. I think circumstances, I thought this was one of the worst performances. You know how I feel about squeaking out wins. I don't like it.
You would have hated our Jose days.
I do. I still hate this. That's why when people are like Jose, I'm like, no, I'm good, thanks. I don't like parking the bus and squeezing out wins. I don't like it at all. But yeah, 5. I mean, I just don't know what else more to say. Like, just I thought, due to the circumstances, yes, there could have been probably better, but I still think we should have played better. Werner was just killed my mood. Like, my eyes are bleeding after watching that.
I hear it.
I just wanted to quickly say, sorry, mate. I do have to say that as much as the performance from us wasn't great, I did think Newcastle played quite well. I thought they defended very well. Though I didn't offer a lot going forward, but they did make it very hard for us. So, you know, I know we're being critical on ourselves, and rightly so, but Newcastle probably do deserve a little bit of credit for how well they played.
Yeah. Now, for me, it's a case, maybe we're a little bit lucky to keep a clean sheet because we could have had a penalty awarded against us, I suppose. But if you keep a clean sheet, for me personally, I think as long as you're playing a team that's in the same division as yourself, I don't think I'd ever go much lower than, say, a 5.5, if I'm being perfectly honest. And someone said in the chat, it's just bad to not have a shot on target until the 73rd minute. True. But we also had, 4 after that, and we still won the game. So I'm like, the game didn't finish at the 73rd minute. We're given a performance rating for 94 minutes, not 73. If we did 73, I'd probably go along with what Charlie said, if I'm honest. But we didn't. The game didn't stop there. We won the game and kept them to be pretty, not too dangerous other than the potential penalty. So that's why I went for what I went for. But again, we probably still sit on a 5.5, if I'm honest. I'm not sure. I don't think your 5 clutch drags it down to a 5. So sit on the 5.5. But here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Because I'm going to see the new Batman film in an hour, I need to head off, and we don't quite have time to talk about the whole new owner stuff. So we will be definitely talking about that on Tuesday in the preview ahead of Lille, because obviously we already previewed Lille the week before. So there's not that many more new things to say. But yeah, I think we're going to leave it at that, ladies and gentlemen. So everybody that's still here, and we still have nearly 200 people watching, which I massively appreciate, ladies and gentlemen. Please be sure to subscribe. We're on the road to 15,000 subscribers. Every new subscriber counts. So hit that big red subscribe button for me. Smash the like button. And also be sure to subscribe to Charlie the Blues Brothers. Link is down in the description, of course. How close are you to the 400 subs now, bro?
Oh mate, it's ticking along slowly. I've only about another 30 or 40 more. So yeah, anyone can help out. That would be great.
180 people here. We can easily do that.
Yeah, that can be sorted. People do your thing.
Exactly. Either click the link in the description or just type it into the search bar, the Blues Brothers, and add maybe Chelsea, and it's easier to find. So do that. Follow Clutch on Twitter, of course, if you haven't already. But yeah, appreciate you. Dead in the water. Appreciate it very, very much. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea, upwards and onwards. And I will, once I de-highlight this comment, see you next time.